Ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby. If you call me, if you're right where you are, no matter where far, far, baby.
Call my name, I'll be there in
Hurry, you don't have to worry.
Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no river low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting you, baby. Marsha.
I think that's my favorite part of your show is that you're always singing at the beginning.
That's the favorite part of my show for me too.
It's so fun.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you. Thank you for coming on my show today.
Thank you.
Well, guys, welcome to the Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh, and boy, do we have an amazing guest for you today. My friend, Marsha Ralls. You have a new last name, Hirschman.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. Welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. Guys, as you guys know, here at the Greatness Machine, we're all about two things. People who are living their passions and those who are creating greatness in the world. My friend Marsha is both living her passions and creating massive amounts of greatness. So I'm so excited to get into it with her and to talk about all the amazing things she's up to. With that said, Marsha, do you mind if I do a little bit of housekeeping and then we'll jump into the show?
Sure, go right ahead.
Awesome. You guys, as you guys know, we are live. So start a watch party, ask us questions, hit the like button. If you guys like what we're saying, hit the like button, hit the love button, hit the big smiley face hugs button. I don't care. Hit one of those buttons, but ask us questions. We're here to answer them. And we are so lucky today in that we have Marsha here on the show. So I want to give a little background about Marsha. So first of all, we have like the fancy schmancy bio that people send in. And then we have like my experience and how I actually got to know some of the guests. Some of the guests I don't know until they get on the show. But Marsha and I, we kind of have traveled in the similar circles for a long time because we're part of this group called Entrepreneurs Organization. And I've been a member for, I guess, well, became a member in 2006. So I was a member for over a decade. And Marsha is super involved in EO. She was at the global level. So I'd always kind of see her name popping up. And it's one of those things where, especially for people that are doing a lot of stuff at the global level, they're usually pretty active online. They're always putting on events. And her name was always popping up on my radar. And I'm like, to the point, it's like one of those things where to the point where you're like, I think I know that person, but you really have never met them before. And so fast forward to 2017, I go to this alumni group at MIT that you guys know I talk about on the show all the time called Gathering of Titans. And lo and behold, I meet this person in the flesh, Marsha. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think we're connected on Facebook. And it turns out she was the real deal. This is the real Marsha that I had stalked accidentally online. There are EO happenings. And we are both in GOT together now. So over the last couple of years, we slowly got to know each other. And we joined an accountability forum in January last year together. And since then, we've become fast and furious friends and gotten to know each other and gotten to really learn a lot about each other. And I was so excited to have her on the show. So Marsha, with that said, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Darius. Happy to be here. I'm a big fan of yours, so this will be fun.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Now, well, I'll do the fancy schmancy one. So guys, Marsha is a mother. She's a change maker, a wellness advocate, contemporary art advisor, social entrepreneur, and life enthusiast. In 2018, she founded To Serve and Create a space for personal inspiration, growth, and life transformation. And it's called the Phoenix. Oh my gosh, you got erased here. I must have erased it somehow.
The Phoenix Wellness Retreat.
Yeah, I control Z. The Phoenix Wellness Retreat to serve. I'm like, why is that reading improperly? The Phoenix Wellness Retreat to serve and create a space for personal inspiration, growth, and life transformation. She's a certified yoga instructor and mindfulness coach, and is a leader in the hospitality, wellness, and fine art space. And I just think that Marsha is an all-around entrepreneurial badass. And she's recognized globally for all the work that she does in both global sustainability, entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship for women. So we'll be talking about a ton of cool things with her today. But with that said, I am so excited to have you here. Welcome to the show, Marsha.
Thank you, Darius. Great job.
So, I just want to I love when we get started on the show to talk about how did you get into, first of all, where'd you grow up? Where are you from? And then how did you get into entrepreneurship?
So I grew up in Texas, in a very small town in Texas. I had a father who was a little bit of a wannabe entrepreneur. He had a job, but on the side, he had all these little companies that were never really successful, but he had a lot of passion with them. And when I was 6 years old, he encouraged me to, he had me because he had a truck full of tomatoes, and he basically had to work a graveyard shift, and his friend that bought the tomatoes with him was ill, and they were like, at 6, you're going to stand there, weigh the tomatoes and sell them. And I sold the entire truck. They gave me a percentage, and I think that's when I became had the bug to become an entrepreneur. I also was the #1 Girl Scout cookie seller in the whole state of Texas.
Wow, really?
I'm just going to tell you, you want to know what they gave me?
What?
A windbreaker. A windbreaker. I got a windbreaker for all those sales. I kind of laugh at it now because I think of how much money I made the Girl Scouts, and they gave me a windbreaker for it.
What's funny? So I was on this podcast yesterday with this guy in the UK, and we were talking about how we became entrepreneurs. And I said, I was always an entrepreneur. I said, I don't know how it is in India, but in the United States, for fundraisers, you sell candy at school for all your neighbors. And I was the #1 person that sold candy. And I said, it was funny, like thinking about it, is it was total child labor. They didn't give me, I didn't get paid anything. Right. But yeah. We were hustling like $1,000 worth of chocolate. This is back in the 80s, right? That's like
I know.
A lot of money, right?
They were giving us life skills. I mean, that's what we learned from it. We got great life skills.
Yeah, well, I think that internal hustle, right? Like what kid really, like, you were competitive and you're like, I'm going to sell more cookies than everybody. And then you got the windbreaker and you're like, what the heck's this?
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, what next? What can I sell next where I actually reap the rewards of my hard work?
So walk us through. So you were always kind of, you grew up with a father that was doing side hustles. You were doing a little bit of sales stuff when you were a kid, but like, walk us through, like, when did you realize that you wanted to become an entrepreneur, like as you are today?
Probably after selling tomatoes, but my first business that I had was called the Houston Workout, and I actually sold that business to Weight Watchers, and my profit was $120,000, and back then, to me, that was so much money. I was doing nutrition, so I sold the client base and the space that we had built out. I had an aerobic exercise studio back in the days when that was the trend. And at 23, I wanted to do more. I loved it. It was a great first business. And I felt like my exit was quite, successful. And I went to Europe. I studied art. My first big sale in the art market, I made $250,000.
Wow.
I sold to Robert Rauschenberg. Robert Rauschenberg, for anybody listening who follows the contemporary art market, he was probably the Picasso of the second half of the 20th century.
Wow.
Very much appreciated. And he was a Texan, so he... we had been connected through people that were clients of his, and I fell in love with the business. And when I had my gallery, the Ralls collection, I had 2 shows of his. He came, which he was really big. I mean, his, such a well-known, his shows were all over the world in museums. And it meant a lot to me that he came to my show in person, because when artists become at that level, they typically wouldn't come to, a gallery show in Washington, D.C., but he did to support me. And to this day, he died in 2008, but to this day, I really thank him for that sort of, sometimes things only take a second that a conversation can put us on the right path, the right journey when we're young. And even when we're older, I had a conversation yesterday with somebody we both know who shared something with me. And I said, I don't want to get emotional with you, so I'm going to write you a letter. Like, you have no idea how that conversation impacted me.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say to entrepreneurs, like, take a few minutes to talk to the next generation or a peer or another entrepreneur to really hear what they're working on and support them, because whatever experience you may have could be so different, but you may give them the spark that they're looking for to either follow through or change courses. And I found that throughout my entrepreneurial journey that really key people have been the reason that I've, either shifted my, energy towards something, or I've changed the way, the way I do business, or the business that I'm leading.
So let me ask a question. So when did you start I'm going to take 2 steps back, because I always loved the origin story. So the Houston, what was the name of the thing you sold away?
Houston Workout.
The Houston Workout?
Yes.
How old were you when you started that?
21.
And
I was still in college.
Wow. So you were in college, you started a business. Where'd you go to school? Do you mind me asking?
University of Houston.
Oh, you're University of Houston. Okay, cool.
Go Cougars.
Yeah, my father-in-law went to Rice. So,
oh,
yeah, I know.
Great school.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that there's a bit of a rivalry in Houston there.
Yeah.
And so you started a business when you were in college. Like, how did that, like, how you're like, oh, I'm going to start a business. Like that's a pretty big deal.
So I think that, so one of the gifts I have is I've always been good at raising money, and I've always been good at looking at opportunity and realizing how to make it come to life in all aspects, whether it's, for-profit, nonprofit, my volunteer life. And this was a big trend, but no one was doing nutrition. So Jane Fonda, I met with her when I was 21 and went to her place out in Los Angeles before I opened the Houston Workout. And I know these people are so old for you, but
I'm pretty. Listen, I'm 42 years old, and I'm a child of the 80s, which means like these were the icons when I was a child. Like they're not like Jane Fonda was like the first workout queen. Yeah, no, she was a big deal. Like I'm young enough where I'm hip with the new stuff, but I'm old enough where I'm hip with the stuff that was like popular in the 70s and 80s. So I'm at a nice crossroads. No, Jane Fonda is a big deal.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you know who she is. Well,
yeah, she's huge. Her son's a famous actor now. Actually, I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't. But that was, I love doing that business. But I was so young, I realized like I didn't want to be tied down to a location, to a space. And when I sold, I went to Europe. I traveled all over Europe and studied art, fine art, and then worked with Rauschenberg, and then started my own gallery. I worked for a few galleries, and then I started my own gallery.
So you're 23. Where did you go in Europe where you studied with Rauschenberg?
So I went all over Europe. I didn't study with him there. When I came back, I went to New York and studied with him, but I went to every museum that had his work in their collection. I met with, the top people. And then I went to work for Sotheby's, and I worked there for 2.5 years before I opened my own gallery. But I was really self-taught. I mean, before I worked at Sotheby's, everything that I did was self-taught.
So how did you? You're like, all right. Were you a big Rauschenberg fan before you went to Europe, or you became one when you were there?
Can I tell you? Like, I forgot the name of the company, but we had no art in our house growing up. My parents were very simple. I grew up in a very modest household, but great values and integrity. So I didn't know anything about art until I left the home of my family home. I had met a gentleman, because I was recruited to do things like I was recruited to do acting. I had no interest in acting, but through that process, I met a gentleman who was a big art collector. His name is Cy Weintraub. I guess he was the CEO of Columbus Pictures, maybe.
Wait, what was his name?
Cy Weintraub. He also produced,
Cy Weintraub. Yeah, I know that name.
like Indecent Exposure was a book that he's in, and David Beagle. I mean, this is a long time ago. I'm now 58, so through that connection, I met Rauschenberg, and Bob was from Texas, and we remained friends. And I sold his work. His biographer, Mary Lynn Kotz, became a friend, and her son, who is a fantastic photographer, was my very first show for the Ralls collection. So I feel in many ways I've been blessed to sort of be in a situation, meet the right people, maximize that network and the people that I've connected with, and build something, create something through partnerships. And that's really how my career started and how it's continued.
What did so you said the first Rauschenberg you sold, you made $250,000 like commission on that. How much did that piece sell for?
Well, his now, just to put it in perspective, his work now probably sells anywhere between original works, and this was an original small piece of his that sold for $1.2 million. His work, that piece now could be, I don't know, $50 million, could be
50?
Yeah, 50.
Wow. Yeah, that's so, well, I mean, as an asset class, the fine art is like kind of beats everybody, right?
It does. And especially, I mean, depending on who the artist is, but in that group of artists, the abstract painters that were post-World War II, which was really my expertise. And then at night, we have a Caio Fonseca behind me, who's this amazing artist out of New York. This is a print. I can't afford his paintings right now because they're super expensive. So I go for the prints because I'm opening a wellness retreat, and all of my life is being put into that.
Yeah.
But I love the art market, and I have a pretty exciting opportunity that's just been presented to me. I can't share yet, but when that comes, I'd love to tell you about it.
Is that an art opportunity?
Big time art opportunity.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, it's so big, it's so big that like I looked at it and thought, wow, it's. I love that business, but I went through a rough patch in that business, and now my spark for it is back. But for a while, I lost my love and passion because sometimes in life we have bad experiences and we learn from them. And I'm, in many ways grateful because I wouldn't be where I am today with all the things in my life. I'm recently married. I'm launching my dream business. But I still very much love the high end, and I love working with the artists. I still love the art business, and I don't know if you saw the pictures, but I'm doing this phenomenal client here in Florida, which I've been working very long hours to get all the art, but then it sort of morphed into all the interior design and making sure the contractors, it's not typically what I do, but he and his family are so pleased, and they arrive tomorrow. So doing a lot of different things throughout COVID. And
can I ask you a question? Because
sure.
and without going into too much detail, obviously you're in the art business, and we could go down a bunch of crazy rabbit holes there because I'm really interested in I love art. I always just buy what I like, but I'm like, man, I wish I knew how to buy like fine art, right? Or buy who's the next Banksy, or who's the next, whatever, like if you go down the list.
The right person. So we can definitely talk about that.
Well, yeah, I'll ask you a question before we get off, but I want to dive into the Phoenix Wellness Retreat that you're building. And so So you've had this success, but in this business where you got to a point where you had lost your passion for it, you've been an entrepreneur now for going on, your fourth decade, right? Which is amazing. That's so impressive, and now you're building this dream business. Tell us about that. You decided to leave, the business you knew for this thing that was this dream business. How did that come to be for you?
So it's actually combining businesses, because the things I love the most about the art business is working with artists I love and respect. And when I had the Ralls collection, we did a lot of other things. Like I did hotels and corporate. I mean, I really scaled that business, and I did a range of things that probably weren't my favorite part of the fine arts business. With the Phoenix Wellness Retreat, we will have an artist in residency program, or artists will apply to come. We'll give them a beautiful studio and accommodations, depending on their availability to stay, between a month and 3 months. And we'll have an exhibition space, because I still love that part of the business. That's my favorite part, is working and celebrating artists and placing their work in the right collection. So that will continue. It's part of the Phoenix Art and Design. So I moved all of my business under one company. And the Phoenix Wellness Retreat is all about helping globally people, both in my community and outside of my community, to come and take a week to focus on themselves. In my experience, when I've checked out, got off devices, reconnected with nature, I prefer to eat a plant-based diet when I'm really trying to get clarity and do something new, or to make sure that something I'm working on has the focus and the ability to be successful. So it's a formula that works, and it's worked for me, and I know it's worked for many of my clients, as I've been doing destination retreats before we had COVID. We're planning on opening the Phoenix Asheville at this gorgeous location. It's got 46 acres. It's 12 miles from downtown Asheville. It's 12,000. The main building is 12,000 square feet. It was owned by art collectors, and they were world-renowned ballet dancers.
Wow.
Churches. So before I even walked in the building, there were all of these signs that said, this is the right place. This is it. My two sons were with me. They're like my number, 2 and 3 definite board of directors that know me better than anyone. And they looked at me and said, this is it. We hadn't even walked through the front door. Just the sellers, agents started talking, and I knew it was the right place. Again, driving through, because what I'm creating is serenity and a safe environment for leaders, and for, I do a lot for women. So I'm going to have special weeks that focus on women who could never afford to do something special like this for themselves. So it will have my give back to the community. It will have the wellness that means so much to me, and special curated weeks around, diet, nutrition, exercise. Some of the most beautiful hikes in the world are 5 minutes from my front door. And we'll have the art component. So this is, and I, have a property in Virginia, which is where I had planned to launch, and somehow Asheville, all these reasons, I ended up in Asheville. My husband and I ended up there. He was like, you should go look at this property, but the property wasn't the right one, which, long story short, led me to the perfect property. And I'm really looking forward to it. Like, at 58, starting a new business, investing a lot into creating this. That's what entrepreneurship's about.
Definitely. So are you, so it's a retreat center. Are you bringing in like, are you doing like learning events and bringing in speakers and workshops, and then people come and kind of like Essalon, how that's set up?
A little bit like Essalon. I love Essalon, by the way. So our core program is we wake up our clients at 5:30 in the morning. 6 o'clock, you do yoga from 6 to 7. At 7, you have a breakfast. You get ready. We're out the door by 8:30, and we're on the trail hiking in one of the beautiful Appalachian hikes. We come back, and the afternoons are about a core workout, a pool volleyball, because I think it's so much fun to see people get together and, you really learn who's competitive, who was an athlete in high school, who wasn't an athlete, and they, join in because of the peer pressure, but they start to have fun, or they're really not athletic and they're terrible, but they're it's one of the highlights to me. We do a restorative yoga class. We have dinner. We don't do speakers the first few days because for our core program, just because usually people are really tired. We have limited calories because most people want to do a cleanse. There's no alcohol, there's no caffeine. We discourage technology during the time our guests are there, but they do have Wi-Fi in their room. We try to, again, ask people not to bring out their phones when we're in the public spaces, just because different people come with different set of circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
You may come with some reason why you're there because you've got a new idea and this helps you get to focus to get there. Somebody else may come because they're going through a divorce and they're not really sure what answers are waiting for them, and they may be quiet, or they left a job. There's so many reasons why people make a decision to focus on themselves. And we'll curate different weeks because I have such a range of clients and friends and communities that want to come. So we really have a great team that's already, joined forces to create these different weeks. But the core program is hard. It is boot camp, and we want people to leave feeling that they have complete clarity to go out and change the world.
So when you say reduce calorie, what is an average calorie intake for a person?
So it's about 1,500 calories, and men tend to lose weight much faster than women. So we do offer protein shakes, everything plant-based. We will have weeks too where fish and meat will be, but everything will be organic, locally sourced without any chemicals. And we hope that what happens is that our clients leave, and if they take one or two great habits from visiting the Phoenix, Asheville, it's a win. Some people have already booked to come multiple times, and
Wow.
we open in June, but they booked to come a couple of times because that's the routine that they like. And other people may come once a year. Other people may come every 5 years. It's a treat for them that they come every 5 years. So we've also sold some packages to corporate leaders who are looking out for their, C-suite, who are burned out trying to create, keep their teams together during COVID. I just, as you know, was at a retreat in Mexico, and I felt like they were just an excellent model of how to do it right during this time. So a few people were like, are you crazy to do this in the middle of COVID? Why would you open a place that requires, especially in hospitality, because that's part of it's a unique hospitality, but it's still hospitality. People are coming there for this experience, And but I think people need what we're offering more than ever. Right now, people need wellness. People need community in a safe environment. There's so much outdoor space. The interior space is extremely spacious, so that people can, sit and have dinner without worrying about who's there. And we've got really good protocols in place. So I feel very confident. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have a vaccine soon. Don't you think?
Yeah. No. So it's funny so Marsha and I are in a weekly accountability group, and she's been talking about the launching. And first of all, I think you found the location this year while we were in the group, right? So every week we go up, we talk about what's going on and what accountability we want to be held accountable to. There's 8 of us in the group, and this shows you how. So I have kind of like this hole in my brain sometimes where obvious things are not obvious to me. Like I'm really, really bad at riddles. Like if it's one of those riddles where the word, like a sentence has double meanings, or it's real obvious, if you the most simplest answer is the most obvious answer. So I actually didn't put 2 and 2 together that you were opening this in the middle of COVID till you just said it right now. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, Marsha's opening her retreat center. Like, cool, right? Like, not thinking, oh, that is a bold move to do that. But how many people fit in the space? How many people can be in there at one time?
So we're only take 15 people. I mean, if I do special corporate retreats, which there are corporations who've reached out to me for their executive teams to come, that we can take more, but 15 is the max, because our program is very specialized, and part of our gift and my team is to make sure that we put the right people with the right, week, so that they are with people who have the same athletic skills that they do, or, everybody comes from a different background, but they have to be able to do the program. Because the one thing about my program, we all do it together. So the 15 people that come, you do it together. You're all there together.
How far do they hike? How many hours do they hike per day?
So depending on the week, so my advanced week would do almost 80 miles in a week. So
wow. That's a lot. And 7 days or 5 days? How many days?
So it's 5 full days and a half day on Sunday and a half day on Saturday. So
right, that's legit, man. That's like 15 miles a day, right?
And they leave signing up for the next, they love how they feel, and they sign up for their next visit. The other weeks I have the next, which is still a hard week. It's about 50 miles, and that's still, significant mileage. And then we're going to have, introductory weeks.
Yeah. Tell me about those.
Yeah. That art is intense. And then I have friends who, let me just tell you, if my husband can do my program, you got this.
No, listen, I bet you I could do it, but you don't know. I don't know if you know this about me, Marsha. I know you've seen some of my episodes, but I always joke that there used to be 2 things I hated in this world, and one was meditation and the other was hiking. I now love meditation, but I still claim to hate hiking. And I have a friend.
It's the best thing for creative ideas.
I know. I'm telling you. So I have this friend who she was on the show. She's a New Zealander. She said, "Well, Darius, that's because you haven't hiked in New Zealand, But
I usually do like walkabouts. They're more walkers.
Yeah, well, I actually think that like the Appalachian Trail would be a cool, that's a place where if you're gonna go and hike, you go somewhere really amazing like that, right? Where it's beautiful. Really beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And we pace, like you build, even the introductory weeks, you build each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're building, and we want our clients to feel that they're accomplishing. And I do think that each day is an accomplishment. And when I said, like, my husband was very funny because the first one I did in Tuscany, he was like, came to in my first week. and he's super fit, but he was like, oh my God, I'm like hiking for like, how many miles did I hike today? I'm like, look at you though. You did it. And he felt really good, but I think he was, at the end, he was like, there's pasta, there's great wine. We didn't have that. So we will still we'll have some weeks with special, cuisine, and maybe there's actually some great wines in the Asheville area. The Biltmore is like 6 miles from my location. So there's a lot of things that we'll do. We're going to mix it up. I think just to do every week as a boot camp may not be all of my clientele. So I've really done some due diligence to try to make it diverse. But the core program, which I love, is more, giving up these things because it's only a week, and I think we can give up. It's good. It's good to detox your system from, the computer and coffee. There's nothing wrong with a good espresso, but there's nothing wrong with taking a break from all of it too.
I agree, although I do love coffee like a lot. So, but I agree, like it's good to change stuff up. Context is how we grow. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, and I'm so, by the way, congratulations on the Phoenix Wellness Retreat. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited for that happening for you. And you've now made me actually interested in hiking. I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't believe I'm admitting that. It's the first.
Oh, you will love it. You're going to love it.
I can't wait. I'm going to take my wife and we'll go out there and check it out. So I want to talk to you though. You're doing some really cool things at EO and the Entrepreneurs Organization at a global level around sustainability. I heard through the grapevine that this amazing guy named Darius is actually coming to talk on to your sustainability group. So why don't you share with us around what you're doing around sustainability with the EO group and outside of that potentially?
Well, I have to say, I can really thank the Entrepreneurs Organization for opening my eyes, even though sustainability in many ways has been a part of my life. Getting involved with the United Nations and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and just looking at ways to be a purpose-driven entrepreneur and really clarifying that. What does that look like? How do we live our values, which I'm looking forward to you sharing on December 16th for our purpose-driven entrepreneur program. But throughout the time since we started talking about sustainability, so EO has launched a sustainability plan for 3 years where, just imagine 14,000 members around the world who eliminate single-use plastic or who really look at gender equality and make sure that they're looking at a diverse, whether it's their board or their employees, all of the things that the goals touch on improve our community. And the Phoenix we will always support women entrepreneurs and women in need in Asheville. I mean, I've been looking for organizations that I can support in my new local community. But I think just encouraging and educating, because I think most of us do that. I mean, most of us have a purpose in our business. We just don't realize it aligns with really incredible impact. And if we could magnify that or support, our peers to do more of that, whether, again, child labor, we don't even hardly hear about it anymore because it really has been addressed globally and in third world countries. Even if we did sell things and those companies benefited, we could look at it that it was an entrepreneurial lesson. I just feel like the opportunity that the door that they've opened in this space is so great for our members, because it doesn't have to be either or. It's not just, you can still be a very profitable company and do good. And our next EO Impact Day, which has J. Gilbert Cohen, who started the B Lab to certify organizations to be B Corp. He's speaking. Another gentleman, Gonzalo, who is very much about climate change and is a leader in this. It's to hopefully encourage more entrepreneurs to look at ways that they can be sustainable companies, but also use their expertise and their skills to do good. And I've been working on that. It's been very rewarding for me and the team, of EO members that I get to work with. And it also makes me proud to be a part of the organization that they're actually looking at this as a priority. Because historically, we've been very much about helping entrepreneurs scale their business, and we get that right. And I think we're good at that. And we'll still, whether it's our GSEA Global Student Entrepreneurs or the Accelerator Program, our successful entrepreneurs who come that need a community, who don't know other entrepreneurs, and all of a sudden they find their tribe in EO. Whatever the reason, I just think there's so much opportunity through sustainability and using our businesses as a platform for good. And I hope we get to talk about that on the 16th too.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. And I agree with you. It's, that this is the movement of conscious capitalism, which I've become a part of, is all about doing well by doing well by doing good, right? That we can have a great business and not do it at the expense of other stakeholders, right? And having this idea that there's a stakeholder responsibility that we have as entrepreneurs. And in fact, we can have even a better business if we don't just take this myopic look around short-term value and actually look at long-term value. One of my mentors, Rand Stagen, calls it long-termism, right? And so I think that that's really fully aligned with what you're talking about, this idea of getting involved with the UN initiative around sustainability. And I love that you're doing that. And it's so cool to hear all these things that you've worked on, and just to see how dynamic of a life that you're living. I mean, it's really inspiring, honestly, as just as someone that knows you, and to watch from close and from afar. One of the things that, we're running a little towards the end of the show here, but, I wanted to just talk to, I think one of the greatest things about what I like about entrepreneurism, which I think is different than maybe other career paths. In other career paths, there's much more of a definition of what you do, and you kind of know the path. And entrepreneurship is more around creating the path, right? There is no path. The path is, there is no there. You're trying to figure it out while you're doing it, and so I think that can be a scary experience for a lot of people, and it's a lot of the reason why people don't get into it, because it's the fear of failure, the fear of losing, certainty. But if you were to, obviously this came fairly natural to you from your tomato stand, tomato days to your Girl Scout days, all the way to, starting a business in college. But, what would be the best piece of advice you would give yourself if you could go back in the time machine, sit down with 18-year-old Marsha and say, hey, look, I know you want to be a successful entrepreneur. This is what you need to do that you're not thinking about right now?
So I would say a couple of things. Surround yourself with really smart people, smarter than you are, experts in different areas that maybe aren't your skill set, and have advisors that are really good advisors, that are there for the right reasons, that have your best interest at heart. I think that when I've had good advisors in my life, it's been some of my most successful periods. I'll give my husband a lot of credit. I've been married for a year, and he's probably my biggest fan and supporter. And lots of good things keep happening. And I think that we've created those good and exciting things that are happening together. So just having, and I was single for a long time, and I'd love to be in single. So this is like a whole new chapter in many ways. And I think, you have to listen to what other people see that you don't see, whether it's your blind spots. I ask more for, the critical thing, the things that no one wants to tell me. Those are the things I want to hear, like, because I'm always trying to improve as a leader and as just a person who wants to make a difference, who cares about making a difference. So I think having, you've got to have the gut for it too. You've got to have the strength, because it's not all, as green pastures and, like we have a win and then we have all these failures and we have to pick ourselves up, and we're still, we have a partner in our life, we have children. I mean, there are other aspects that people who look to us. So I think the most important thing is to have a really strong circle of friends that you can count on, and a very strong circle of advisors who are there for the right reasons. To me, those are the two, most important. Yeah, I mean, I read a lot, I research a lot, I talk to, great people, both within my inner circle and outside of that I don't really know, and I listen. But the people who are close to us have to be authentic with us.
How do you, this is just a follow-up question on that, and I know it's running late here, so we'll get the show wrapped up, but how do you, I mean, it was funny, I found an old journal of mine over the weekend in my garage, and it was from 2007. It was actually, I started writing it about 5 months before my business imploded, and I wrote it about a year after. And it was not I'm not a journaling person, so a lot of it was just like my chicken scratch notes and me doing math and me like writing lists of stuff and just like, just kind of the meanderings of my brain, which, by the way, I mean, I always have, I have about 100 notebooks filled with that type of stuff. That's kind of, I have to put pen on paper when I'm thinking things through. And it was funny when I was looking at that, there was one page I was just like enthralled by. This is like Thanksgiving morning. I think I was looking at this and I saw me making a list around advisors I wanted, but I never executed on it. But I remember, like, I think it is a bit intimidating for people to understand, like, how do you go get an advisor, right? Like, what are your thoughts around that? I mean, obviously you've done a good job at that. How do you, what advice would you give for people who are trying to build that bench of advisors to help support them if they don't know where to go to find that?
That's a really good question. So I've actually reached out to a few people over my course of my career who wanted to advise me, because I felt like they were the person I would like to be, whether it was in sustainability or leadership or great business skills, or they were the best speaker, whatever expertise that I looked up to them. And I've had a few tell me, you don't need me to be your advisor, or, I don't have time to do that. And I've been able to change their mind. But I think you have to be really clear what you want from them, what the time commitment would be. I mean, it's different if you create an advisory board where you have, somebody who is an expert, that whether it's accounting or finance, or somebody who's an expert in marketing, communications, and, somebody who's an expert, whatever technology, whatever the things that matter to you, that you want outside expertise that are there just to advise, that believe in you. You want people who believe in you, number one, but also they're willing to be honest with you. And they will tell you the things that sometimes we don't want to hear. And I think that's really important. But some of the people that I've asked who felt like I didn't need them to advise me, or, they didn't have the time, it's the letter I wrote them of why I admired them, what skills they had, that maybe they think I have those skills, but can you guide me through what you've done here? I mean, I was so clear why I wanted them to help me. And I think if you do that, all of them came back and have helped me. So I think, again, I always, shoot very high for the type of people that I want to advise me. I'm building an advisory board right now for the Phoenix Prize, which is grants that is under the Phoenix Wellness Retreat, where we will be giving grants to entrepreneurs to support them on this journey of sustainability. And right now I have a group that we're interviewing to put the criteria there, but people in this space that I've talked to have all agreed, to mentor, to guide me. And we're never too old to have great mentors and people who can share experience. But for that group, I'm putting together a very diverse advisory board to help make sure that we are transparent and that we reach as many entrepreneurs and support as many entrepreneurs in their journey to doing good through their business. And that to me is fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun to learn from other people. And, that's probably why we love EO and our MIT program, because it is that level of learning, but the people that have asked to be a part of these, I'm not going to say they're in a different level. They're at a higher level. I would say that it's a different level. That it's
the folks who are advising.
The people who are advising me, they come with really clear expertise in a certain, sector that I need, that I want support. They may say I don't need support, but I feel like I want the support. I want somebody who's, working with farm to table agriculture. And even though I know a lot about it because I had a father who was very much, a farmer who taught me a lot, and he was an organic farmer before organic farming was even popular. We talked about no pesticides. So finding the right people, it's a growth opportunity. But to me, I think it's really important to have the experts and the knowledge that maybe isn't our expertise, but why not learn from the best? And I think it's a compelling reason. Most of these people will take the time. If you really do the work for them and say, here's what I need, this amount of hours, here's what the board meetings are going to look like. I think people are pretty open to support a passionate entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that advice. I just took a bunch of notes. I'm like, I need to build an advisor.
Things, Darius. I'm really looking forward to talking about your book, what's your vision and what you're doing. You're helping a lot of entrepreneurs really focus on their core values and how they determine them. And I love the fact that you say they don't change. They're there, what they are, and I agree with that. I think
they are what they are.
Maybe tweaked, but not much. So.
Personally, they might adjust a smidgen, but you kind of are what you are for the most part. That's the way I see it. So, I mean, like some people change a lot, but I think that at a certain point, you're not changing that much. So you got to just own it, be unapologetic, own it, love people, like people that are authentic,
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. This is such a treat. I really appreciate your story and all the amazing things you're doing in the world, and the fact that you're just, relentless in creating so much amazingness around you. It's just such a treat to know you and to have you be a part of my life and to have you share all your wisdom on this show. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Darius. Thanks.
Hey, where can people find you, by the way? Let's give them some notes on that.
So the Phoenix Wellness Retreat is our website, and my email is marsha@thephoenixvirginia.com, which will probably change to the Phoenix Asheville since we're opening that location first. But right now it's thephoenixvirginia.com.
Cool.
Marsha@thephoenixvirginia.com.
So great. So we got that. We're going to put that in the show notes so you guys can find that in the comments, and definitely connect with Marsha and her team if you want to check out the Phoenix. I can't believe I'm admitting I want to go hiking.
You're gonna love it. Don't worry, our accountability group, we're going to do something special there.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Actually, we were talking about it yesterday. So.
All right. All right. All right, we're gonna do it, you guys. I will go at some point, and you will hear me talk about how amazing, how I now love hiking. I won't be able to say I hate two things in this world. I'll say I hate nothing in this world except onions. Which there's no one that'll get me to love onions, except if they're cooked. But guys, wow, what a great show! I'm so excited for having Marsha here. Share this, you guys. You know, this is the type of thing that entrepreneurs need to hear from someone that's been there and done that, and to really learn and to hear about the opportunities that she's bringing to the world. I really would love for you to share that. So start a watch party even after the fact. Share this with your friends. This is a message that needs to get out there. And I am super excited to join Marsha on the 16th with EO to talk about core values and sustainability. So if you're in the EO community, come check it out. That'll be a great event where Marsha and I will get to hang out again. With that said, guys, we got a great show coming up next week with my buddy Daniel Murphy. Oh my gosh, he is like literally one of the top interactive marketers in the world. He has worked for some of the top ad agencies. I'm excited to have him. So we're going to have him on the show next week on Wednesday. So come check that out. And do me a favor, follow the show. You can follow it on YouTube at The Real Darius, at therealdarius.com. Buy the book, The Core Value Equation. It's out there. And if you love it, review it. I love more reviews. The more the merrier. And with all that said, guys, have a great day. Have a great week. We'll see you guys next week. And we're out of here. Peace, everybody. We love you.